When I said I lost $7 million, I'd kill to be back to losing $7 million. I haven't even looked. If I had to guess, I'm down in these last 3 days, probably close to 20. I don't know, like 10, 15% of my net worth, poof.
Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW, you know, we take their millions of cars. They take no cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take anything. Europe's treated us very badly. We put a big tariff on Europe. They are coming to the table. They want to talk, but there's no talk unless they pay us a lot of money on a yearly basis. Number one for present, but also for past, because they've taken a lot of our wealth away, and we're not going to allow it to happen.
As the stock market continues to crash, Donald Trump is laser-focused. He is locked in. He is giving all of his attention. Oh, you thought I was going to say to the economy? To the cost of living? No, no, no. He's giving all of his attention to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yes, Donald Trump spent his weekend golfing, and now he is hanging out with the MLB champions instead of addressing the chaos caused by the stupidest trade war in history. Donald Trump had his little party for the Dodgers in the White House today, and the speech, if you can even call it that, while the market collapsed, was just as bad. It is utter insanity from Donald Trump. He could barely speak. He was barely coherent as everything melts down around him. We are going to get into it. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into what Donald Trump had to say, first I want to start with an update on the crashing markets that are a result of Donald Trump's incompetence, with CNBC grilling Donald Trump's advisor right here.
And I think from policy institutes on both sides of the aisle, the methodology that was used has been universally derided as being non-serious. I don't know whether you know exactly who came up with the formula, but it allowed you to at least characterize most of these countries as being their tariffs well above the reality of the situation, so that when you say that we're going to do half on them, it was much higher than anyone anticipated. And I think you'd have to concede that this was not the market reaction you were looking for. There's a way of maybe incrementally trying to accomplish some of the things that the president wants to do in a reasonable, serious way. And this just almost across the board has caused what you're seeing in the stock market, and a lot of head scratching and head shaking on whether anyone really knows what they're doing in this case, Peter.
Right, well,
Can you at least acknowledge that?
Sure. No, I can't, because here's what I'm seeing. You're throwing a lot of stuff at me. First of all, the methodology was perfectly sound. It was done by the Council of Economic Advisors based on long-term studies that are in the academic literature, and the people taking pot shots at us are the same people that always take pot shots
The American Enterprise Institute, Peter.
Of course. Joe, come on. The American Enterprise.
This is not some liberal freakout. This isn't the left. We're not triggered as much as MAGA wants to pretend. And at this point, I don't even think that they do, that we are overreacting to what's happening right now, and that Donald Trump is somehow playing 4D chess. I'm tired of hearing this is a smart person with some cogent economic strategy. Donald Trump likes shouting the word tariff. That's it. He thinks it's beautiful. It's the only reason we are in this position right now. And also because everyone is too afraid and scared and cowardly to say no to him and to tell him that this is wrong. And partially, I think it might be because there's people in the white house shorting the market and getting rich off of Donald Trump crashing it. Like, I don't know if maybe they're just stupid or they're also evil and corrupt, but who knows? But like I said, this isn't just liberals. MAGA is losing lots of money right now. And Dave Portnoy, who shredded Donald Trump earlier this week, was on the news this morning doing the same again.
I went super viral when I said I lost $7 million. I'd kill to be back to losing $7 million. I haven't even looked. If I had to guess, I'm down in these last 3 days, probably close to 20. I don't know, like 10, 15% of my net worth, poof.
Everyone is furious with Donald Trump because he just doesn't seem to care. And he's not going to until it actually affects him somehow. Which I don't think seemingly Donald Trump even understands. He is just so out of it and shifting blame to everyone else. And we saw that in the lead up to what was the weirdest moment of his little speech with the Dodgers, when he started yelling at his agriculture secretary, Brooke Rollins, about the price of eggs. Just take a listen.
Secretary of Agriculture, we have some great people, Brooke Rollins, who, you know, when I came to office, they said the eggs are gone through the roof. Eggs. I said, what the hell are they talking about? I was there for 4 days and they were blaming me for eggs, and they've gone up like 6 times or something, some record number. You couldn't get them.
This is truly just an unhinged individual. And I think we really need to start having the conversation more about Donald Trump's cognitive state. Someone who would get us into this position is in no fit state to be president of the United States. Of course, Donald Trump never was or is under the best conditions. But this is a person clearly losing their mind. And we can see that when he was just struggling to speak, really through his explanation of what baseball is and the importance of health. It was a mess. Just take a look.
The Dodgers faced down adversity. You entered the playoffs battered and bruised, but not broken. When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular. But the starting...
This is what the man is focusing on as the Dow plummets. As it plummets. He's talking about health and doing his baseball analysis. I can't even believe this. This is the first time he's really spoken. Of course, he gave that press conference on the plane, with his little gaggle that we're going to take a look at in just a second, but this is the first. Official anything from Trump since the market has started to crash. There were no statements. There was no response while he was golfing. He was focusing on the golfing alone. But clearly he's just out of it. It is the only way to describe the situation right now. Donald Trump does not care because ultimately, the project of his tariffs, besides him appearing strong, which he's not, the markets are tanking, they're pretty weak, is that Donald Trump can use this as leverage, not for our country, but for himself, to extract concessions, personally out of business leaders in other countries so he can get richer. It's always about corruption, and this is a corrupt individual selling us all out while he's losing his mind. Just take a listen to this right here, and we'll take...
It's right here.
And we take their cars, Mercedes, Volkswagen, BMW. You know, we take their millions of cars. They take no cars. They don't take our farm product. They don't take anything. Europe's treated us very badly. We put a big tariff on Europe. They are coming to the table. They want to talk. But there's no talk unless they pay us a lot of money on a yearly basis. Number one for present, but also for past. Because they've taken a lot of our wealth away, and we're not going to allow it to happen.
Sir, have you talked...
Trump wants reparations from the European Union. What is even happening at this point? It is difficult to, compartmentalize it all with the business leaders who are kind of still backing him. And they're doing so because they know that that's the real gambit here. That Donald Trump just wants praise heaped on him. Donald Trump just wants to make sure everyone's going to fall in line. And if you do, he'll make a nice little carve-out for you. And it is a policy of personal, corrupt deal-making happening right now with a man losing his mind. And what's crazier than maybe even just the commitment to it is how this tariff policy started, which Rachel Maddow went into really scary detail about in this clip right here.
Do you remember where Trump got the tariff thing from in the first place? Do you remember when and why and how we started talking about tariffs in the first place? It was in his first campaign for president. Trump didn't really have any formal economic advisors. So he told his son-in-law, Jared, to find him an economic advisor. Trump reportedly gave Jared some vague ideas of what his thoughts were on economic issues. You know, something, make me look tough, China bad, something. Jared then decided to find his father-in-law a financial advisor for his presidential campaign by going on the Amazon.com website and starting to browse books. Not reading the books, because you can't do that on the Amazon website. He was just looking at the covers, looking at the titles. And he found a book title that he thought was so cool. The title was Death by China. Oh my God, that's so cool. That's so awesome. And that apparently was it. Quote from Vanity Fair. Trump gave Jared a summary of his views and then asked him to do some research. Kushner simply went on Amazon, where he was struck by the title of one book, Death by China, co-authored by a man named Peter Navarro. Jared then cold called Navarro, a well-known trade deficit hawk who agreed to join the team as an economic advisor. Navarro was a major advocate for an aggressive pro-tariff policy. Where did Peter Navarro get his idea that tariffs would be a good policy for America? What was his, backup for that conviction? Well, he did have backup from a real expert who he cited in at least a half dozen of his books, including the one that Jared found on Amazon that fateful day. In all of his books, Peter Navarro has cited an economics expert to justify his views. And the economics expert he cites is somebody named Ron Vera, V-A-R-A, Ron Vera. When Trump won the presidency and entered the White House, this Ron Vera started circulating a memo around Washington in support of Trump using tariffs in trade policy. According to the New York Times, the memo had been, quote, sent from an email address purportedly belonging to Ron Vera. At one point, Ron Vera wrote in the memo that Trump could, quote, ride the tariffs to victory. Problem is, Ron Vera doesn't exist. He never has. The economics expert that Peter Navarro has long cited to explain why he's so gung-ho on tariffs, this person, Ron Vera, is a made-up person. He is a fictional person. Peter Navarro invented Ron Vera as his expert source so he could quote this expert source over and over and over again in his crackpot books. Who is Ron Vera? Ron Vera is an anagram of Navarro, which is his last name.
Y'all remember the millions of dollars, that billions of dollars, actually that Jared Kushner got from the Saudis? The contingency on him receiving that money was that he was not allowed to run or be a part of the firm that he supposedly started. Like he is such an idiot that they said, we're going to give you billions of dollars. You can't touch it. You're going to have to get people, like you can't even hire the people. We're going to get the people, and in a corrupt story that no one talks about, we're too busy talking about Hunter Biden, didn't touch Jared Kushner and his corruption. $2 billion, whatever. This is the guy who sought out, a fake economic theory based on the title of a book. If you want to, summarize the idiocy, the corruption, the incompetence, just how dangerous the Trump presidency is, that is a perfect anecdote. What is happening? You know, Tim Miller at The Bulwark says this a lot. The business leaders who allowed this to happen, they are smart at what they do. When it comes to politics, incredibly dumb. Incredibly dumb. There is no way that anything remotely close to this would be happening under Kamala Harris. The market would probably be booming. And I saw another stat that Kamala Harris's wealth tax over 2 years would cost billionaires, the 500 richest people in the world, or the top 50 richest people in the world. It would cost them, $36 billion over 2 years. Donald Trump, over the past couple of days with these tariffs, and the way that he's tanked. The economy has cost them over $500 billion. Oh, we tried to tell you so. We tried to tell you so, and we're going to keep telling them so on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you.